Genghis Khan is known as the fiercest Mongol ruler who did not pity his adversaries. He is rumoured to have killed around 40 million enemies during his lifetime, with most of them dying in some of the most horrific and despicable ways anyone could ever imagine. Though his methods were unconventional, they struck fear into the hearts of his enemies, and the mere sight of him was enough to paralyze them. In today's page in history, we present to you the unspeakable things Genghis Khan did to his enemies. Right from a young age, Genghis showed no mercy as he murdered his elder brother for stealing from him. Before becoming Genghis Khan, a title which roughly translates into universal ruler, he was known as Temujin, which meant of iron. Temujin's father, Yesuge, was poisoned when Temujin was just 9 years old, leaving his mother, Hoelun, to single-handedly take care of Temujin and his 5 siblings. Food was scarce as there was barely enough to feed the family of 7, so from a young age, Temujin learned to fight for whatever he wanted. He was not particularly happy with the way food was apportioned in his household, as he felt he deserved better. He grew jealous of his elder stepbrother, Behter, who always got a bigger portion and harbored some resentment towards him. One day, his elder brother stole fish that Temujin had labored to catch, and this didn't go down well with the future Mongol leader. He reported the incident to his mother, but she did nothing and rather reprimanded the young Temujin for failing to share his food. Filled with intense rage, the 13-year-old Temujin teamed up with his younger brother, Kasar, to kill Behter, their elder brother. They ambushed him during a hunt and killed him with their bows. When their mother heard about the dastardly act, she only reprimanded the boys, but didn't punish them. Many historians believe that this episode is what started Genghis Khan's unquenchable thirst for the blood of his enemies. A few years later, Genghis Khan slayed his best friend and blood brother, and they actually had a public ceremony solidifying this blood brotherhood. Jamukar, in one of the most excruciating ways to die. Jamukar and Genghis Khan were childhood friends who grew into respectable and ferocious warriors, with each amassing a sizable following of loyal warriors. The two became especially close when Jamukar aided Genghis Khan to rescue his wife, Burta, from the Merkid tribe who had abducted her. However, cracks began to develop in their relationship when Jamukar was elected ruler of the 13 tribes of the Mongol kingdom, a position Genghis Khan was also eyeing. The cracks became wider when Jamukar lorded his new position over Genghis Khan by constantly undermining him and treating him as less of an equal. This infuriated Genghis Khan, and he started harboring contempt for his childhood friend. The final incident that destroyed their once strong bond was when Jamukar ordered Genghis Khan to camp with the sheep and goats, reducing his status to a shepherd, while he, Jamukar, camped with the horses. This incensed Genghis Khan, and he left Jamukar's camp in the middle of the night under the influence of his wife, Burta. Genghis pitched his camp several miles away and formed an army of his own. The former best friends feuded and killed each other's warriors until Jamukar's men betrayed him by capturing him and turning him over to Genghis Khan. However, Genghis Khan was not impressed with the actions of Jamukar's men and had them slaughtered in gruesome ways for being disloyal to their leader. Later, Genghis Khan offered clemency to Jamukar, but he refused and preferred to die. As was the custom of the day, Jamukar had to die a bloodless death because he was of noble birth. A Mongol rule stated that a noble's blood should never be shed. Thus, Genghis Khan had his warriors break Jamukar's back, making him die a slow but excruciating death. Jamukar's death paved the way for Genghis Khan to be recognized as the ruler of the Mongol Empire, and the new ruler embarked on several campaigns to stretch the frontiers of the empire. Next up was Inalchuk, the governor of Otrar. Otrar was an important trade and political center in the vast Khwarezmian Empire that covered large parts of Iran, Central Asia, and Afghanistan. In 1218, Inalchuk, whose name meant Little Inal, had drawn the ire of Genghis Khan by slaughtering a caravan of 450 men from the Mongol Empire, including an ambassador of Genghis. Inalchuk feared that Genghis Khan had sent spies disguised as traders to surveil the strength and weaknesses of Otrar so that he could launch an attack. Other historical sources claim that the traders demeaned him by calling him Inalchuk instead of his preferred title, Gayir Khan, which highlighted his role as governor of Otrar. Whatever his reason, Inalchuk mercilessly tortured and butchered Genghis Khan's men, seized all the goods in the caravan, and sold them to the nearby city of Bukhara. However, one of the men escaped and informed Genghis Khan of the atrocities Inalchuk had visited on the caravan. When Genghis learned of what had happened to his trade caravan, he sent a 3-man envoy, consisting of 2 diplomats and a Muslim, to the ruler of the Khwarezmian Empire, Sultan Muhammad, asking him to punish Inalchuk for his wicked deeds. However, Sultan Muhammad, who gave his permission for the slaughtering of Genghis Khan's men, disgraced the 3-man envoy by beheading the Muslim and shaving the beards of the 2 diplomats. Sultan Muhammad's actions enraged Genghis Khan, who besieged the city of Otrar in 1219. The fighting went on for 5 months, with Genghis Khan making little progress, until a defector from Otrar named Quarasha betrayed Inalchuk by opening the gates of the city for Genghis Khan. The Mongol ruler then ransacked Otrar and pursued Inalchuk, who retreated to the inner walls of the city. Finally, Inalchuk was captured alive after another month of heavy fighting, with Genghis Khan suffering significant losses. Genghis Khan then killed Inalchuk by having molten silver poured into his eyes and ears, amid loud screams and wailings. During the attack on Otrar and Inalchuk, Genghis Khan turned his attention toward the prosperous city of Samarkand and besieged it in 1220. His strategy was to mount a multi-pronged attack on the Khwarezmian Empire and conquer them for their role in slaughtering his emissaries. To surprise his enemies, Genghis Khan marched through the large desert of Kizilkum, which was previously known to be impassable due to its extremely high temperatures and hostile terrain. They then besieged the city of Samarkand, which responded by sending an army that included 20 elephants and a sizable cavalry to repel the Khan and his men. However, Genghis Khan and his men annihilated the army and captured their elephants. Later, the Khan set the elephants free on the vast desert to die of thirst and hunger. After successfully crossing the Kizilkum desert, Genghis Khan brought the city of Samarkand to its knees in less than 2 weeks. Accounts of the sack of Samarkand differ in the details of the atrocities Khan committed after conquering the city. Some claim that he ripped fetuses from the wombs of their mothers and left both mother and child to bleed to death. However, others explain that this version of the story may have been exaggerated to make the Khan more fearful or hated in the ancient world. However, given Genghis Khan's history of brutal killings and murders, we won't put this past him. To strengthen his ever-expanding empire and keep his enemies at bay, Genghis Khan used his prisoners as human shields during wars. He figured that this was an effective way of ridding his prisons of many inmates while cutting down the cost of having to keep them alive. Genghis Khan wasn't the first to use this strategy, but perhaps ranks among the worst of them all, as he's rumoured to have used hundreds of thousands of prisoners as human shields. First, he will have his men goad the prisoners into fighting for him, and if they refused, they were butchered to death. Those who agreed to fight for Genghis Khan were encouraged to fight bravely and fiercely for a chance at survival. These prisoners were then placed at the front line, with Genghis Khan's men several meters away. The most ruthless version of this tactic was employed during the Mongol-China War of 1211, when the Mongols used captured Chinese civilians as human shields. Genghis Khan wanted to conquer China, but had to face the massive walls surrounding Chinese cities. These walls were quite high and thick, and were difficult to break down, but most importantly, they helped the Chinese to repel several Mongol attacks. To get around the walls, Genghis raided and captured several Chinese skilled laborers, including women and children, and used them as human shields to attack their towns. This method proved extremely effective, as the Chinese warriors expended lots of weapons and energy in killing their own, and by the time they encountered Genghis Khan's men, they were extremely exhausted and out of weapons. This tactic helped Genghis Khan conquer vast swathes of land and impose his rule over China. In all, Genghis Khan is rumored to have killed about 11% of the world's population in the 13th century, establishing him as one of the deadliest rulers ever. His legacy still lives on and is venerated in Mongolia today. That's it for today's page in history. If you loved this video, then give us a like and subscribe to this channel for more historical events. Thanks for watching.